All right, I think we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm looking for my AirPods that I cannot find, which I just had earlier. They're right here. We got them. We got them. All right. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I am Coach Kayla, or I go by Coach Kayla. My name is Kayla Slater. I'm a plant-based dietitian, nutrition, and run coach, or a plant-based dietitian or sports dietitian. And today we're going live for our challenge this week, as well as National Nutrition Month. And today we're going to be talking about our foundational phase. This is part of the Run on Plants method that was created by myself and this is what that's what we're going to talk about today. So some of the topics we're going to touch on, so I don't want to make this a really long video, and these are a lot of topics, and these are all included in my course, and when you go through that you'll be able to really dive deeper into each of these topics. But what we're going to do today is that I'm going to give you guys a little bit of kind of like a sneak peek, just an idea of the information that I share and what you're going to learn there. So we're going to talk about calories and how much calories we should be eating as plant-based endurance athletes. We're going to talk about micronutrients, macronutrients, nutrient timing, hydration, meal planning. So as I said, I know this is a lot. It's a lot of stuff that I'm going to kind of jam into this quick 20-30 minute video here tonight as we're live. Also, if you are joining us live, let me know below. Comment below live. If you're joining us on the replay, let us know below replay. So just a quick review, if you guys missed my last video from last week, I want to review our Run on Plants method. So what does this look like? And what am I talking about? Hi Joyce, I'm so glad you're here. All right, so I've got my dry erase board here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm so sorry the lighting is not great here. It is dark. It is nighttime here, so I don't have any natural light tonight. Okay, so we're going to start with our pyramid here. And this marker is not great. Can you guys see this? No, not at all. Okay, let's try a new one. Yeah, that's better. Okay. I am not great at this. Okay, so we've got our pre-foundation. This is the stage that we set everything up. So we set up our mindset, we set up our nutrition plan, our training plan, right? That is our pre-foundation phase. Now this is what we talked about last week. So if you want to know more about our pre-foundation phase, you can go back to that video. Hi Melissa, thanks for joining. I'm glad to have you here. So that is our pre-foundation foundation phase. As I said, that is what we discussed last week, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today. Then we have our foundation phase. This is the stage that we're going to be talking about here today. This is basically our training phase. So what are the nuts and bolts, and what are those things that we need to know about plant-based sports nutrition to build that base as we're starting our training. Then we have the build peak phase. This is where you're in your training, where you're working on building, you're working on peaking, or you're near your peak fitness level. What are the things that we really want to be focusing on when it comes to nutrition? That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we talk about there. And then our last phase is our recovery taper, should be kind of like taper recovery phase, right? That's the phase where we're tapering in our fitness, that we're learning about recovery. And so that is the phase where we learn about nutritionally what are the things that are going to help us recover the best. So as I said, this is just a little review. We're going to be talking about today mostly on our foundation phase, okay? So let's get into it. So I'm going to erase this so I can have some space here to write all this down. Now this is kind of a new style of video that I'm doing here with my dry erase board. I don't have the best, oh, maybe I can actually set up. I don't know, it might lean too much, so I don't have the best setup, so we're trying, we're working through this, so hope you guys stay with me here. Okay. All right, so I got my notes here. So first, let's talk about calories. So what are calories? Calories are energy. It's what gives our body the energy to do daily activities. Now, when it comes to sports nutrition and calories for sport, we have to have calories or enough calories in order to support our training. So we need to make sure that we are eating enough calories. So what I see most commonly, or mistakes that I see most commonly when it comes to calories in plant-based endurance athletes, is that we are not eating enough. And so I was actually thinking about this earlier yesterday about, what could I do to help you guys see or have that awareness around, like, or what I could create to help you around that awareness of, how many calories we should be eating, because it's very confusing. We have formulas and things to figure it out, but when it comes to being an athlete, you guys are different. And I say athlete, and I know a lot of people that I work with, they don't think of themselves as athletes, but this is part of the pre-foundation phase. I can't say that word for some reason today. That I want you guys to think like you're an athlete, because we want to be fueling like an athlete, and this is what's going to really help us to fuel our bodies for our sport, especially with endurance training. So to give us an idea here about average calories for an adult is 2,000 calories a day. Okay, so that's what our nutrition facts label is based on, this 2,000 calories. Now, for an athlete, you are probably most likely going to be eating more than that. You could be up to 2,500 plus calories a day. So when it comes to plant-based nutrition, for eating plant-based foods, especially more whole plant-based foods, these are going to be foods that are considered to be lower in calories and more nutrient dense. And for health, that is really great, right? But as athletes, we need to make sure we're getting enough fuel. So that means we may need to be really more mindful of our food choices throughout the day, make sure we're fueling our bodies every, what do I usually say, 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 hours. We may have to eat to be able to get all the calories we need. Or we could do things like smoothies, right? And a lot of my clients do those. They'll do smoothies or shakes and things like that to be able to get in enough calories. So calories are really important. How do you know how much you need as an individual? Because this is individual. And so that's what a lot of my clients have came to me for, to help them figure out, what is the amount of calories. So for my athletes, I give them their calorie needs for their foundational diet. So their foundational needs. And I do this using formulas I have, and I've actually created and put this as part of this course, which I'm really, really excited about. So I created basically an Excel sheet that has these formulas already in for you, because this is the thing. Our foundational diet is going to be the days that the amount of that we want to eat based on maybe easy days. So say we're talking about running, right? Easy days, rest days, those are the days we're going to be wanting to hit that calorie level. On days that we are training, so we are training long, like a long run that's 2 hours or more, or maybe we are training doing a speed workout, maybe we're doing a fartlek workout or a tempo workout, and we are working on speed, so our intensity is a little bit higher. In those cases, those are days that we want to increase, or we may want to increase calories, increase our carbs, increase our protein. And protein is unique because we do want, the timing of protein is specific when we want protein. And fats we just kind of adjust, I guess, as needed. But those are the main things we're going to be increasing based on intensity and duration. We're going to be most likely increasing our carbs and protein. Protein mostly when we're increasing intensity, because we want to replace, or we want to get more protein to help for that recovery, because we're breaking down our muscle. So that is kind of the breakdown for that. What did I not explain yet here? Oh, macronutrients. I'm running out of room here. So our macronutrient breakdown. Just kind of right on the side. This is not great, but macronutrients. So what I did was the recommendations I give are based on the sports nutrition recommendations, as well as for endurance athletes and plant-based nutrition. So we want, carbohydrates 55 to 60% carbs. Now also for those that are plant-based, that may be even higher than that, but that's our minimum that we want. Protein 15 to 20%. This is higher than what's recommended for whole food plant-based diet, and that's because athletes need to make sure they're getting enough protein. And then fats I have as 25 to 30%. You may feel like that is a little bit high, but that's because fats actually also give our body energy. So we want to make sure we're eating enough fats. And then when it comes to micronutrients, so micronutrients are all your vitamins, minerals, all of that, right? Our calcium, vitamin D, terrible writing on the board. Vitamin D, calcium, omega-3s. I don't really think of that a vitamin or mineral, but it's in there. What's another important one for athletes? Iron. So these are our nutrients, or our micronutrients, that we want to make sure we're getting in a plant-based diet. Now, these are some of the examples, not all of them, but these are some of the examples of, I think I got most of them there. Those are most of the micronutrients that are more challenging to get in a plant-based diet. So these are especially important for anyone that's plant-based, but also if you are somebody that is an athlete, we want to make sure especially to be getting in our diet. So these are commonly nutrients that we need to either be planning out our meals to make sure we're including enough of them, or we can supplement. So these are all, possible supplements. If you're interested in what supplements I take, or interested in supplements my clients take, or want recommendations, please reach out. I'd be, definitely can give you guys some recommendations on the best supplements that are out there when it comes to making sure we're not nutritionally deficient. And this is so important because the more I work with people one-on-one, in counseling is what I see is that in general, a lot of people don't realize that they are low in certain nutrients and how much it's affecting their health. So it's especially important for athletes to make sure we're getting all those micronutrients because that's also not going to just affect our health, but also our performance. So it's super important that we make sure we're getting all these micronutrients. How do we know if we're getting enough, right? So there's a couple ways we can find out where, how, if we're getting enough of these micronutrients. There are symptoms of deficiencies. So those are symptoms, that um, read about, but often symptoms I think are challenging to find out what the root cause is because they're so similar to other things. Um, and so that's one way. So symptoms is one way. Another way is tracking your food. So a lot of my clients, I've had them use Chronometer, and I like Chronometer because it just doesn't give you or focus on calories and macros, but it also gives you an average. If you have like a week in there, you can get a good average of if you're meeting all your macronutrients based on your intake, or if you want to add in your supplements, to kind of that helps as well to give you an idea if you're meeting all of your nutrient needs. So that can be super helpful. Also with Chronometer, just kind of a side note here, is that you can now also adjust your needs based on your days. So that is really cool. So as I said, your calorie needs and your carbs, protein needs are going to change based on your training. Chronometer can actually do that for you. So that is the tracking platform or app that I do recommend versus the other ones, and I have found to be the best one that I know of that's out there, or the one I recommend to use. And how else? So symptoms, tracking, testing. So a couple different ways. There are blood testing. You could go to your PCP and get a basic metabolic panel. Now, that is probably not going to give you everything you need. So you may need to ask them for other things to test. Usually they test vitamin D, but you may want to test your iron, and or iron they usually do too. B12 would be one to look at because they're plant-based. But I am actually in the process of looking into other testing. So I'm actually experimenting myself to see how these other avenues of testing work out. So I'm going to be doing some blood tests through kind of third parties to just see if these work. So two of them that I'm testing out, if you guys are curious, is Inside Tracker. You may have heard of that one. I know some pro athletes, and it's really popular with athletes to be using. And then also Complement has testing, or some testing you can do as well. Now, Complement doesn't look like, from the research I've done, doesn't look like it's as much, like they don't test as much as Inside Tracker. So I'm really excited about getting some tests done with Inside Tracker. So I'm going to be doing some videos, I think, on those two testing because I think it could be really valuable, and I'm really excited to see what I find out, even based on my current diet. So that's going to be super helpful. So can't wait to share more about that. All right, what else? What else have I not touched on here? Hydration. What do we say about hydration? Hydration is important. And I have a whole module or whole lesson on hydration because it's so very important, and it can make a difference in your performance and in your health, right? It's really important that we make sure that we are hydrating. So I have specific recommendations in there. But we want to make sure we're just, hydrating throughout the day. We want to be including electrolytes if we're sweating a lot. So if we are working out in a warm climate or running in a warm climate, especially, we want to make sure we are replacing with electrolytes. If you're curious about recommendation as well, feel free to reach out. But that's also all information I include in the course as well. And in that module, I give specific recommendations of brands that I've used or clients have used, and I know, works really well. And then lastly, I think I've been doing pretty good getting through all this stuff here, is meal planning. So meal planning, I probably feel like a lot of you that have been following me for a while now, you're probably getting sick of me talking about meal planning. And I talk about meal planning so much because this is so key. When we look at the recommendations or statements from like the academy or the sports nutrition recommendations about plant-based eating for athletes and if they should do it or not, is that it has been there is enough research to say that it is possible to eat plant-based and do it for our health and our sport. But meal planning is so key because this is what's really gonna help us to make sure we're not having any micronutrients, so we're not deficient in anything, and that we're reaching the amount of calories that we need for the day, as well as getting enough carbohydrates, enough protein, enough fats, right? All of the things that make up our macros to calories to help us to form the best. So meal planning is so key to be able to do that because if we're just eating day to day, then we're more likely be lacking things day to day and not getting all the nutrition. And day to day, it's, there are gonna be days that aren't gonna look great. As I mentioned, like I've been working with people one-on-one in general nutrition, counseling, and a lot of times that is where people are, that they're eating day to day. But you guys, I know you guys are different. You guys are athletes. You want to be at the top of your health, right? So we need to be staying on top of it, and we need to be doing meal planning and planning out our meals, planning out our snacks ahead of time so we know we're gonna meet all of our goals. So then the next question is, well, how do we do this? So there's different ways we can do this. We can do this with plates, tracking, and exchanges. Sports getting a little crazy. All right, so there's different ways that we can do this, and this probably is so much information you probably can't even read this. So if you guys haven't seen, I have created plant-based performance plates. So plates that are specifically for you. So the USDA or the government went to a plate guidance system from the food pyramid. The Sports Nutrition or Olympic Committee has their plates, and there are vegan plates out there as well. So I basically combined all of those plates and made our own plates for plant-based performance. So super helpful. I mentioned before, right, that we start with our foundational diet, and then our needs are going to change based on our training. So there's 3 different plates depending on your level, duration, intensity, all of that. So we've got our performance plates, which can help us and this I would say it can help with meal planning, but plates is probably more of the most mindful way that we can make sure we're eating. And so for some of us, if we are super busy, that could be, tracking may not be possible. It just really depends on the individual. So it's really individual choice. I will say though, the more mindful way we can eat is where I want people to get. So that's always my goal, to help you to get away from that tracking and get more towards a more mindful way of eating, but making sure we're still fueling our bodies properly. And we can always go back and forth. So, and I'll explain these other ones here first, but so tracking is one way as well. So as I said, a lot of my clients have used chronometer, and that works really well. Sometimes it's hard to keep that up often, so we may kind of do it sometimes, we may kind of take a break, we may come back to it. It may not always be something we can really stick with, so it really just depends, but it does give us some really good data, so it is helpful. And although this would not be something, if you have an eating disorder background or history, that may not be for you, right? And then exchanges. So exchanges are another great way. This is usually where hi Julie, thanks for hopping on. I where I will help kind of, I feel like it's kind of like the middle ground. So between tracking the plates and exchanges. So for some people, using these plates is not where they want to start, because it's not specific enough, right? And then tracking can sometimes just get like, we can do it for a while and it's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Exchanges, I found, is kind of in that middle ground that can be helpful. Again, though, that still can be challenging as well, to keep on keeping track of exchanges, but it is helpful when it comes to this meal planning. So the going back to the sheets that I talked about, or the formulas, or the Excel spreadsheet that I created. So what I created and what this looks like, and I wish I could share my video, but I realized that I'm live, not on Zoom. I don't think I can share my screen. But maybe I can somehow do a video of that, maybe a pre-recorded video. Maybe I can give that to you guys if you're interested. So if you're interested in seeing the Excel spreadsheet formula that I have, I think it's called my plant-based energy sheets, we'll call it, post below or comment below, and I will send you a quick video of that, just to give you an overview, an idea of what that looks like. So what this has in it is, there is, like I said, the formulas. It's going to be able to, you're going to be able to plug in your information. So the information you would need to calculate your calories. So your age, your sex, your height, that information. And then you're going to, or what's going to give you, it's going to give your foundational needs. And then from there, there's different sheets associated with the different levels. So I mentioned that our needs are going to change based on our training. So based on our training, our duration, intensity, we can go to the correct sheet. We can look to see what are our needs. So it's going to give us our breakdown of calories, carbs, protein, and fats. So all of our macros. And then what you're also going to get is, you're also going to see the exchanges. So you're going to have the exchanges that are recommended to get to your needs. And what this does is, this helps us with meal planning, because then if we know, so I'll go back a little bit here. I'm going to have to erase some of this because it's too crazy. Okay, so if we go back here to, what exchanges are. Okay, so exchanges we can basically think of as a serving size. So when we are protein, let's use protein because that's more specific to plant-based eaters. Most we may not eat animal products if we're vegan. So our exchanges for protein are going to be our beans group, beans, legumes, maybe soy protein, and then I think there's a other group, because there's some that are a little bit, the exchanges are a little bit different. But for example, beans, one exchange of beans is about half a cup. Soy protein, I believe it's 4 ounces. We'll just use that example, right? So those are exchanged. So say your sheet is going to give you is going to tell you how many exchanges of beans and soy protein you need to get to help you to get to your protein. So say we're going to say uh, let's make it even. Make my math easier. 4 beans and 2 soy protein. So for that day to meet our protein needs, we need to get 2 cups of protein and 8 ounces of soy protein. So, tofu, tempeh, one of those proteins. So that is how we're going to meet our protein needs. And we can use this to help us with either creating that meal plan, so using those exchanges to create the meal plan, or we can use what I've used also with clients is kind of a tally system. So they have like protein for a day, and then they tally, if when, how much protein they eat. So those are kind of options. So I like to give you guys options for, how to do this, because I haven't quite, to be honest, I haven't quite found the exact solution for everybody. I feel like everyone as individuals, what works for them is different. And so I like to give options. But the run on plants method is still what it is basically a system, right? It's basically a system of, what we need, what are the things that are most important when it comes to plant-based nutrition. And it's trying to hopefully give an easier way of thinking about nutrition as well, and breaking it down into using these exchanges to help you to meet your needs. So I believe that is all I have for today. Does anyone have any questions? I see 4 of you still on. Thank you guys for keeping with me. I know this is a little bit long here today. I've gone about 30 minutes, so I'm not going to keep you guys much longer, but thank you so much for joining me. If you guys have any questions, as I said, feel free to reach out. Also, if you're interested to check out the formula energy sheets that I talked about, comment below plant-based energy sheets, and I will make that video and send to you, so you can check that out and have an idea of what I'm talking about. Melissa said she is interested. Yay! Yes, I'll definitely send that out to you, and you can have a look at that. It is super helpful. So that's all I got. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Also, I've signed up for Buy Me a Coffee. So if you want to see more content like this and want me to keep doing what I'm doing and helping you guys with eating as plant-based athletes, then I would love for you to buy me a coffee. Although, to be honest, I'm not a coffee drinker. But I would appreciate a lot. So I will also comment, or I also put that in the comments below as well, where you can go and buy me a coffee to support all the great things that we're doing here with plant-based performance. So thank you guys for being here. Again, hope you guys got something on this video. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Bye.